Hey guys, it's Cayley. I'm back with another What Sold from Last Week video. We are on the run, so we're doing this in the car again. Had a pretty awesome week last week. We are definitely shipping out a lot of stuff lately. As our listings increase, so do the amount of sales that we're having. I've got a lot to share with you guys about what items that I'm picking up that are selling, and so I'm going to dive right into this video. Okay, so everything that sold last week happened between October 9th through the 15th, and those are the numbers that you're seeing here. In total, I sold 186 items for a gross sales total of $5,385.10. My average sale price was $28.95, and my estimated cost of goods based on an average buy cost for everything that sold last week was $744. My estimated net, which is the gross sales less the cost of goods and less the fees and shipping costs, were $3,132.96. So all in all, pretty good. I'm loving staying above $5,000 every week. That has been a really big help in terms of costs, and I'm really happy that all of the extra listings that we're putting in are starting to come through and pay off. On eBay, I sold 112 items. On Poshmark, I sold 74. Poshmark's really been coming through for me lately. I think just participating in closet clear out on those events when you can drop sales, and then also consistently cross-posting have made a really big difference in boosting us in terms of search on the platform and getting our items across to more eyes. More eyes on your items, the more likelihood it is going to sell. On eBay, I did almost $3,800, and on Poshmark, I did just over $1,600. Let's dive into these sales. I'm going to start with eBay first. I had some really good ones over here. So the best sale of the week was definitely this Crye Precision men's field pants. So these are a pair of tactical pants, and if you guys see this brand, Crye Precision, not just in pants, but I think they might also make jackets and stuff too, but definitely some of the pants go for really, really good money. You can see we did have to note a small spot on the front of the leg, and it's still sold. These are called the G3 field pants, and from what I can tell, they almost always have the style name right here. Just looking at them, I would not think that they were a super high-end brand, but I did know that tactical gear can sometimes perform really well, and so can military stuff. These also look kind of outdoorsy, so to be honest, I thought they were hiking pants. This was hidden on the inside of the pants, and I think it might have been in like the front pocket area. So not the normal place you would look for a brand label. So if you come across these, you gotta really look for the brand on the inside, but it can really, really pay off. So these took only a couple weeks to sell. I paid $4.89 for them. I got them at a Goodwill, and I think I originally listed them for $150, and we accepted an offer of $120, and again, they sold in just a couple of weeks. Next up is another really great sale. This is the brand Blundstone. Here is the bottom of the shoe, and they make a lot of high quality boots in both men's and women's. These are a pair of men's brown leather boots. They were a smaller size in men's. They were a size 9 US, but still decided to get them because the comps still looked good even in smaller sizes. We actually paid up for these because we felt so confident in the brand. We paid $9.99 for them. We listed them for about $90, and they sold on an offer to watcher for $80.96. Here's a really good item to look for. There are some pieces in Abercrombie and Fitch that perform really well. You just have to learn what they are. One of the things I've noticed about Abercrombie and Fitch is their outerwear performs significantly well, especially in men's. This is a pretty heavy, thick, red flannel jacket. You can see we use the word heavyweight in it just to really tell the buyer just how thick this coat was. This was made of wool, again, that nice classic plaid. It also had the side patch with a spell out, all good indicators of a quality Abercrombie and Fitch item. Now, once again, not everything in this brand performs well, but if you can find out what does, they can bring you big money. So I picked this up at the bins. Like I mentioned, this was very heavy, so we probably paid a total of $5 for this just because of how heavy the jacket was. If you don't know, the bins is a place you pay by the pound, so the heavier the item, the more it costs. But still great return on investment. We listed this for around $85, and it ended up selling on an offer for $76.91. So great return on investment, even for a heavier item. And I do recommend, I see a lot of people at the bins passing on anything heavy. If you're willing to really do the comps for it, it is worth it sometimes to pick up those heavier items, and I'll show you a few of those here today. This next one is not a bins pickup. This is a Chico's dress. We paid $4.89 for. This one was actually new at tags. If you guys didn't know, Chico's retails for quite a bit. You can see this dress retails for $139. Typically, Chico's is not a brand, however, that has a very high sell-through rate, only in certain pieces. So a few reasons I got this. It was a new at tag item, retailed for a lot. It was a longer length dress, and it had a gauzy material. And all of that information was here for me on the tag as well, which made it really easy to get listed. I don't know much about Chico's size and dating and stuff, but I think that this up here might mean that it is summer 2022. So I think it might also be a newer item, like one that just got produced this year. Regardless, I picked it up. It ended up selling for my full asking price within a couple of weeks for $59.99. If you guys are skipping Chico's, I would definitely keep your eye out for some of the new with tag items, because that can help to up the value. And even if the sell-through rate's not there, price yours a little bit lower and it should move. Next up is a pair of Hokas. I talk about this brand a lot. I pretty much pick it up anytime I come across it, as long as it's in decent condition. These ones did have a little bit of wear. These were a men's size 12 Hokas. I honestly, oh, here it is. Akasa. I thought that said Alaska and was part of the color. These are the Akasa running shoes. Most styles, especially in the men's department, have a good sell-through rate, so we probably could have cleaned these up a little bit more and they would have sold for more, but nonetheless, I'm really happy with them. I would definitely keep your eye out for Hoka Oneanes. You definitely want to check the tread on the bottom of the shoe and make sure there's still a little bit of life left. These did have a little bit of life left in them. We got these at the bins, and Hokas are pretty lightweight because they're mostly made out of foam. So they probably cost us maybe $3 for the pair in total. I can't remember what we originally listed this for. They did take a few months to sell, but they did end up selling for $43.84, which is a great return on investment for a pair of bin shoes. Next up is one of my favorite brands to sell. It is Ralph Lauren. This is Polo by Ralph Lauren. Anything Ralph Lauren in outerwear, you know, kind of like Abercrombie and Fitch, helps to up the value. I've noticed that their hoodies in the men's department perform pretty well. This is one of those brands you just kind of have to play around with and figure out what works for you. For me, men's hoodies do pretty good. So I picked this one up for $4.89. It's just a plain zip hoodie, not even a large size, a size medium, but it was men's. We listed for $39.89. It took 1 month to sell, but it did sell for our full asking price. This is a jacket I took a chance on. This is the brand Everlane. This brand does not typically have a very high sell-through rate. Only a couple of their pieces perform really well as far as moving quickly, but this jacket felt very high quality. It was also a risk because it was a size extra small, but fall was coming up and I thought it was very on trend. I picked this up in July and we got it listed. I paid $5.99 for it and I listed it for about $40. And like I said, we listed this in July, so it did take a few months to sell, but it did end up selling for an offer to watcher for $35.97. So 6 into about 36. That's not bad for something we took a chance on. This is another really great brand to pick up. This is Rule number 925. If you guys didn't know, this is a line that used to be made through Abercrombie and Fitch, and they no longer make it. So because of that, these tend to be pretty rare. It's kind of a Y2K-ish brand. People looking for that aesthetic tend to look for rule number 925 pieces. I would definitely say that the men's items in this brand perform way better than the women's, but there are certain women's pieces that I will take chances on. This is a hoodie, and this had a little dog on it, which, if you guys didn't know, anytime you see an animal, a dog or a cat on something, immediately like think in your mind, okay, that increases the value. I saw a lot of dog and cat stuff, so I saw this dog patch on this hoodie and thought, this is probably worth something. So I think what I looked up at the time was Rule Women's Dog Hoodie and saw that there was some pretty decent comps out there. We got this one at the bin, so it probably cost us a few bucks, but we listed for $34.89, and within about a month it sold for our full asking price. And you'll see that I did include Y2K in the title as well. Next up is something I've been buying a lot of, and that is silk pants. Silk and cashmere pants, actually. And it really doesn't matter the brand. This is just called Silk House, but I didn't care about that. I specifically got them because they were 100% silk. And we usually put luxe in the title if that's the case. These were kind of like a paper bag, drawstring elastic kind of look. Very lightweight. We picked up for $3.99, listed for $39.99, and they sold for our full asking price within a couple of weeks. And that's about the price unless it's a specific brand that I can do a quick comp on. This is about the price we're listing silk pants for, is about $40, and it's moving really well for us. Next up is a really great brand to pick up. I pick up almost everything in this brand. It doesn't matter if it's new label, it doesn't matter if it's old label. What matters is that it's in good condition. And then if you have a larger size or if you have a better material, then you can start to increase the value. But even the like plain cotton stuff, I can still usually get at least $25 for, even in an older label. This was a women's blue cowl neck silk. No, I thought it was silk. No, it's rayon. I don't know where I got silk from. Eileen Fisher cowl neck rayon dress. Cowl neck is very popular, especially in this brand. And so I knew that was going to increase the value quite a bit. We paid $4.25 for this, listed for $39.98. It took a couple months to sell, but it did sell for our full asking price. Highly recommend picking up Eileen Fisher. This was something I took a chance on. You guys might have seen it in a recent Thrift With Me video. This is the brand Autumn Cashmere. And when I looked up this brand and tried to do comps on it, it was not performing really well in terms of sell-through rate. But the ones that I did see selling sold anywhere from like 25 to 50. There was a huge difference. But I knew this was a men's item, and this like oatmeal speckled look always performs really well for me in a lot of things. So anytime I see this oatmeal speckled color, I know that it's probably going to be a really good pickup. And it was 100% cashmere, right? So I picked this up for $4.89. I took a chance on it. I just had a gut feeling with all of those factors combined that it was going to perform really well. Did not expect it to sell this quickly, but it sold within just a couple of weeks of getting listed for our full asking price of $39.89. This is a great men's brand to pick up. I think they might also make women's, but definitely men's. It is Rain Spooner, and that is spelled R-E-Y-N. Now this was a size extra large, so that helped to increase the value for sure. Men's Hawaiian button-up shirt. What I can tell is that Rain Spooner is more of like a Hawaiian islandy relaxed vacation kind of brand. And some of their vintage Hawaiian print shirts can actually go for closer to $100. This one was not a very rare print by any means, but it was a printed shirt, which helped to up the value. I paid $3.99 for it. We listed for $39.98, and within a couple of months, it sold on an offer to watcher for $35.98. This was a very quick sale. We picked this up and I think it sold within a couple of weeks, got a ton of attention on it immediately. This is a great brand to pick up in just about anything. It is Jamie Saddock. This is a women's golf wear brand. And if you see anything with the crinkly material, which this one was, definitely want to put crinkle in your title because people are looking for those kind of items in this brand. So this was just a crinkle zip pullover top. I'll also note that anything with her signature on it, this little spell out here, also helps to increase the value. We paid $4.89 for this and listed for $39.89, and it sold very quickly, like I said, within a couple of weeks for our full asking price. Here's another Polo Ralph Lauren item. This one's actually a newer label. This was a women's size extra large cable knit sweater. This I definitely did some factor stacking on. Along with that oatmeal color that I talked about before, this like camel brown color is also a good indicator to me of a good item. I don't know why, but I have really good luck with this color. So just keep that in mind as you are thrifting. Try to keep a running total in your mind as you start to find factors of how much something can increase the value, even something like color. So this one was a larger size, it was a chunky cable knit, and it was that nice color that performs well for me, so I got it. I paid $2.99 for this, and it ended up selling it did take a few months to sell, for $31.89. This next one is by a jeans brand that I absolutely love and has been performing really, really well for us. This is Judy Blue, and there's a mistake on this listing that I'm not even going to get into, but let me just make a note of that. But it is performing really well for us. These were a size 11 Judy Blue Capri Fit jean. If you see this brand, you definitely want to look it up with the style, but in my opinion, a lot of the styles in this brand perform really well, and so every time I see it, I am looking it up. We paid only $4.75 for these jeans, and they sold for $34.98, and that's typically what I can get for Judy Blue jeans. I would definitely keep your eye out for these. I think I've shown them in every What Sold video for the past couple months because they've been performing that well for us. So definitely keep your eye out for Judy Blue. This is a kids item. I talk about kids items a lot, but we do not by any means go through the kids section anymore. But if you happen to see while you're checking new racks, or if this slips into the adults section, you might consider picking it up. So this is a North Face outerwear jacket, but this is a boys size large. You'd be surprised, some of the brands that you pick up in the adult sizes in outerwear are typically the same brands that do well in the kids categories, and sometimes I can get even more for a kids jacket than I can in the adults, just because the kids are less saturated on the reselling platforms. So this one we paid $5.99 for, and I knew that it would sell very quickly. We listed for $29.99. It sold within just a couple of weeks for our full asking price. So $6 and $2.30 for a kids item. You can't beat that. So kids North Face jackets in good condition, I would definitely keep your eye out for. This is the brand Helly Hansen. I used to perform really well with this brand, but it has since taken a dive on the sell-through rate. So I'm very, very picky. This one was a men's button-up shirt, size extra large, and the larger size is why I felt more comfortable picking it up. It also had this ocean power, like it was a special line on it. And we got this listed for $29.99. We paid $4.89. It sold for our full asking price and only took a couple weeks to sell. So I think it really just depends on the piece in this brand, but this is a brand that specific pieces can do well in the men's category. Next up is the brand Lands' End. Definitely would not say to pick up everything in this brand, but some of their larger size pieces actually perform really well. I think this brand is sold at maybe Kohl's, but I have some really good luck with some Kohl's brand. Guys, I know you guys go in the comments and you're like, why would you sell that? That's a Walmart, that's a Target, that's a Kohl's brand. Some of them do really good. Really depends on what it is. When I came across this, I looked it up because the fabric felt very thick and high quality, and it was a size 18, which is a larger plus size, and I decided to take a chance on it. I'm glad I did because it sold within a couple of weeks for my full asking price of $24.89, and I paid $4.89. This is a Tommy Bahama women's, here's that crinkle again, crinkle material, crinkle cotton button-up shirt, and this one we actually found new with tags. Let's see how much it retailed for, $68. I can usually assume that if I have a high sell-through rate brand, which in general Tommy Bahama does pretty good for me, if I have a high sell-through rate brand new with tags, I can usually assume that I can get about half of retail, if not a little bit lower than that. And so if I'm confused on what to price it for, that's usually what I'll go with. So this retailed for about $70. I listed for about $30. We listed for $29.99. We paid $4.89 for it, and it did sell for our full asking price within just a couple of weeks. This is indicative of like what you want to look for in Tommy Bahama. It is something beachy. That's what their brand is really known for. And so if you can find anything like white sheer that would be like a beach cover up like this, it can perform really well. This is a brand that I'm very cautious with these days because the sell-through rate and the sale price has gone down quite a bit, but plus size pieces still perform really well for me in this brand. It is Fresh Produce. This is a blue sleeveless dress, size 2X. It has some cute like artsy pocket details here. We listed this for $29.89. It took a couple months to sell, but it did sell for our full asking price. This is one of my favorite brands to sell. It is Brooks Brothers. This is a men's 100% merino wool sweater. The only reason I got this was because it was merino wool, and in addition to that, it was an extra large. So if this would have been a small merino wool, those sweaters, although they are very high quality and they do have a following, do not sell for much. So you really have to factor stack in order to get your money's worth. So that's why I picked this one up. Anything in this brand with high quality material is definitely going to up the value, and then once again, larger sizes as well. I paid $4.89 for this. We listed for $29.99, and it did sell for our full asking price within a couple of weeks. This is another silk item. Again, 100% silk items. I don't pick up everything, but if it's a good piece, I get it despite the brand. This is What Goes Around Comes Around. I'm not very familiar with this brand, but this was a 100% silk maxi dress, and I thought it had some really interesting like bohemian look to it, and so I got it. I picked this up for, it looks like $8.75, so I did pay a little bit up for this. We listed for $29.97, and it sold within a couple of months for our full asking price. This is a pretty interesting sale. This is Who What Wear. I don't know if this is sold. I want to say this is sold at Target. You guys can let me know down at the comments, but it's definitely sold at like Walmart, Target, or Kohl's. But this is a plus size maxi length dress, and I just thought the structure of it was so pretty, very nautical with the blue and white stripe. And so for all of those reasons, I decided to get this despite it being, you know, a lower end brand. We paid only $4.89 for this. It's sold within just a couple of weeks for a full asking price of $24.99. Again, it's not always about the brand. Sometimes it's about the style. This is a brand we've really been enjoying picking up in the plus size pieces. It is Catherine's. This is a Catherine's 3X Petite. This is just a floral lacy cardigan. We got this at the bins and we listed for $29.99. It sold within a couple of weeks for an offer to watcher for $26.99. This is something I've been enjoying picking up lately. They are wool or cashmere ponchos. We got this one at the bins, so not much of a risk for me. It was super lightweight. But with the Western trend coming back and it being fall and winter, I think that this kind of stuff's going to do really well. This is a wool mohair blend. And it actually, I don't know if you can tell, but it had the sleeves at the bottom, so it wasn't like just a poncho. It actually had sleeves, so it did have some interesting details to it. We listed this for $24.96. It did take a couple months to sell, but it sold for an offer of $22.46. Here's another Catherine's piece. We found a bunch of these new with tags. Now, just pre-owned, these did not go for enough for me to pick them up for full price at a thrift store, but because they were new with tags, they were in bulk, and they were going to be easy to list, we picked up all of them. We paid $4.89 for each one, and we listed them all for $24.98, and they've all been selling for our full asking price, and that's what this one sold for. This is one of my favorite brands to sell in the men's department. It is Carbon to Cobalt. This is just an extra large t-shirt. This is another color that sells really well for me, mustard yellow. And so we made sure to put mustard yellow in the title. We listed this back in July, so it did take a few months to sell, but it did sell for our full asking price of $24.97, and we paid $4.89. This next one is the last eBay item I'm going to show you before jumping on over to Poshmark and finishing up with those sales. But once again, mention it every single video it seems. This is Knox Rose, which again is one of those brands that is sold at lower end department stores, but it performs really well for me in the larger sizes. This was just a really pretty blouse in a size large. We got this at the bins. It sold for my full asking price of $24.97. It did take a few months to sell. Moving on to the Poshmark items. This is something that was kind of a mistake. I paid up way too much for this. I paid $17.99 for this. I had it listed for, I think, $125, hoping to get an offer close to $100. It ended up sitting and sitting and sitting. It is a Nike women's quilted bomber jacket. Anything you see in Nike outerwear when it is like a structured jacket, not just a hoodie, like bomber jackets, military style jackets, those perform really well in both men's and women's. And this one I saw had pretty decent comps. I don't know what happened. Maybe I got it listed too late and other people listed their items the same week and mine just got flooded. But either way, I ended up selling it for $64, not the $100 that I was hoping for. So 18 into 64, I still made some money, but I definitely would not pay that much for it if I would have known how long it would have taken to sell. This was a bins pickup. This is Saybury, which is not a brand I suggest you commit to memory, but I did want to show you this because these robe or house coat looking items, muumuus, can perform very well. I got this one because it was new with tags. It was a really pretty blue velvet color and it sold pretty quickly actually for $45. And normally these sell on eBay for me, but this one actually sold on Poshmark. House coats in the sleepwear section can do really, really good. This is a pair of Sorel boots. I would definitely recommend looking for Sorel during this time of the year. They are pretty easy to spot because they typically have this kind of a sole, and so when you're looking at them from the side, you can typically tell that they're Sorel just from the tread there. Really high quality boots. These were called the Sneak Chic Alpine Holiday Fleece Line boots. We paid $7.99 for these and they sold for $38 on Poshmark. Here is an interesting bins pickup. We talked earlier in this video about picking up heavier items that people are passing on. I probably paid a total of $10 at the bins for this because it was pretty heavy. I think in total it probably weighed like 7 to 8 pounds. This is a Tala collection rug and I just thought it was a really pretty bohemian rug. Again, I got this at the bins and I'm sure everyone passed on it just because of how heavy it was, but I looked this up. It did not have a good sell-through rate, but the ones that I did see sold for quite a bit and I thought I had a really good print. I ended up listing this for I think $125 and I got an offer for $95 and it sold within just a couple of weeks of getting listed. We shipped that off a couple of days ago and I could not be happier with that sale. I am really enjoying picking up rugs lately. They just flip so quickly and they're really good money makers if you're okay with listing them. Here's another Brooks Brothers piece. This is also something I paid too much for. I picked this up for $15 and it only sold for $38, but I picked this up because it was Brooks Brothers, which is a brand that performs well for me. It is a lamb's wool jacket and it was a herringbone print, which let me see if I could show you. This is the herringbone print, which typically performs really well for me, and just all in all was very classic Brooks Brothers, what people are looking for. I don't know why it did not sell quickly, but for whatever reason it did not. And so because it sat so long, I ended up again taking an offer of $38. I think we originally had this listed at $75, which is why I paid up for it. But blazers can be a tough sale, guys. You've really got to find the right buyer for it, and sometimes it just does not work out. This was a surprising sale for me. This is the brand Knitted and Knotted, which is by Anthropologie. In the past, this brand has not performed very well for me, but something about this sweater told me that it was just super unique. I think what I did was look up women's knitted knotted sequin sweater, and that's how I figured out that this was called the Feet Wool Blend sweater. I paid $4.89 for this, and it ended up selling on an offer for $40, which again was pretty surprising to me, and it sold very quickly. But keep your eye out for Anthropologie sweaters. Some of them can perform really well. This is a really great brand to pick up. This is called Kuhl, Kuhl. They're an outdoorsy brand. These actually had the style name on the inside. They were vintage patina dye rider pants. And I mention this a lot, but anytime you see a specific style name inside of clothing, it's usually a good indicator of a good item to pick up, and it makes it really easy to do comps for that specific item. These vintage patina dye pants just give it a distressed look, and you can tell that even though it looks faded, it is in good quality, and this is something that people are looking for in this brand. I paid just $4.89 for these pants at a Goodwill, and they sold for $35. This was also a really good sale. These boots, funny story. We were actually walking around a Goodwill and I saw these in somebody's hands. There was a couple carrying these around like she was going to purchase them. And I looked at Nikki and I was like, oh my God, did you see those boots? Those would have been so good. I can't believe we didn't get here sooner because they were just so gorgeous in person. I mean, the pictures do not do them justice. They had so much detail. They were really pretty. And I said, I'm going to watch her and see if she puts them back. Later on in the day, I ended up seeing them on the shelf because she had put them back and I snatched them up. And they ended up being a really great brand. The brand is called Corral. And they make some pretty interesting looking boots. These were in really great condition. We paid only $5.99 for these. They sold almost immediately after getting them listed for $135. Now, I don't recommend stalking people at the thrift store, but if someone's holding on to something that you think they might put back, it might be worth it to just kind of keep an eye on it, or at least think to go look back in that section to see if they got put back. This is a pair of Girlfriend Collective biker shorts. Biker shorts are still performing really well for me, and I've noticed that this brand in biker shorts performs really well. These are just a pair of size small black biker shorts by the brand Girlfriend Collective. We paid $2 for them. They sold for $35. Just in general, I love selling this brand Girlfriend Collective. I pick up almost everything in this brand. This was a really awesome sale. If you guys remember that thrift haul where I found all of those Lily Pulitzer dresses, this is from that haul. We paid $5.99 for this. It ended up selling for $150. Not much else to say about it. Lily Pulitzer is a really fantastic brand. Even the Target collaborations can perform really well. You definitely want to look up the style number, which is always on this tag here, into Google so you can find the exact style name. This one was called the Melody Maxi Dress. If you don't look that up, you might be missing out on some money because you won't know that it's a rare piece. This one was a more rare piece and it sold for $150. Really happy with that. I mentioned before dogs and cats on stuff do really well. This is another one of those examples. This is a vintage Laurel Birch. Don't know much about this label. I just cared about the graphic. Vintage sweatshirt. Really cool cat graphic here. I think I listed for $35 and it ended up selling on an offer for $30, and this one sold very quickly on Poshmark. I paid $4.89. This is another brand, outdoorsy brand I would look for. It's similar to Cool. It is Mountain Khaki. I would definitely stick to the men's stuff in this brand. This one we found new with tags and it was a larger size, which really helped to up the value. We paid $9.99 for these because they were new with tags. They sold on an offer for $42. Another outdoorsy brand we're always on the lookout for is Patagonia. This one was actually my personal purchase. I actually had this chinchilla fleece for a while back when the Aztec Southwestern looking ones were really on trend, and I decided I didn't want it anymore. I tend to do that with Patagonias. I get a print, I get bored of it, and I recycle it. I always end up getting my money back though. This one, I can't remember what I originally paid for it. I bought it pre-owned. I can't remember if I bought it on Poshmark or if I got it at a regular thrift store. But either way, it ended up selling for $70. If you guys see any of these chinchillas, obviously print helps to up the value, but even the regular chinchillas do really well. This is another outdoorsy brand. It is called NAU. I found a couple of these pieces, but this is the only one that I chose to pick up and try out. They feel really high quality, but there is not a lot of information about this brand on either eBay or Poshmark. I got these ones because they were new with tags and all of the information was there. These were called the Bender Snowboarding Ski Pants. I paid $4.89 for them and they sold for $42. This is a brand I'm just going to keep an eye on, and if I see some pieces in this brand, I might try them out. Because like I said, when I touch them, they feel very high quality, and I think they might be an up and coming outdoorsy brand. This is the brand Madewell. These are a pair of men's jeans. A lot of people don't know that they make men's jeans. These were the slim style men's taper jeans. We paid $6.99 for them and they sold for $40. I do enjoy selling Madewell jeans, and they tend to sell better on Poshmark in my opinion. I can usually get anywhere from $30 to $40, men's or women's, on Poshmark. This was an interesting sale. This is a men's Spinal Tap graphic t-shirt. This is just from 2011, so not quite vintage, but still a pretty good, pretty old t-shirt. The interesting thing about this t-shirt was I had a really hard time doing comps on it when I was trying to figure out if I should get it or not, because Spinal Tap is a movie. Spinal Tap, I think, was a band, and Spinal Tap, I think there's also a video game called Spinal Tap. So just because everyone seemed to be using this name for different kinds of media, it made it really hard to determine which one was this t-shirt. I ended up finding out that this was the original cult classic movie graphic, and so I listed it as such. It ended up selling for $35, which is really good for a very small size pre-owned t-shirt. So keep your eye out for movie t-shirts. Definitely cult classic ones do the best. Here is another example of a kid's shirt that does well. We paid $2.39 for this Eddie Bauer First Descent puffer coat. It sold for $20. Probably in the adults, it would probably go anywhere from $25 to $45. So again, don't pass on kids items. If you happen to come across them in the outerwear, the puffer jackets and the fleece jackets can do really well in the same brands as the adults. This is the brand Kavu. This brand tends to have a really good sell-through rate, but it's hit or miss with whether you're going to get good money for them or not. Some of their stuff goes for over $50. Most of it, I would say, goes between 25 and 30. This one I thought I had something a little bit more special, but it ended up only selling for $26, which is fine because I only paid $4.99 for it. But I did want to show you guys this brand because it does have a really good sell-through rate. They are known for their sling bags. This was just a satchel bag. Their sling bags, I think, perform a little bit better. Again, the brand is Kavu, K-A-V-U. This is a Zara women's dress. Zara is a brand I hardly ever pick up anymore, but I will say that their longer length, which would be either midi or maxi length dresses, I almost always pick up. They perform really well for me. They sell really quickly and they sell for decent money. This one was a button-up crepey, which is just this texture, almost like a gauzy feel to it. I picked it up for those reasons combined. Again, it was a midi length dress. We paid $4.89. It sold for $34. This is another pair of Madewell jeans. You can see there is a little bit of wear to them. They were a size 30 and they sold for $32. Definitely the larger sizes in this brand are going to perform the best. Next up is a sweater. This is by the brand Vince. I don't pick up this brand often anymore. They are a high retailing brand, but resale value has gone down significantly. The only reason that I got this one was because it was a size large and it was 100% linen. And for those reasons stacked, we decided to get it. And to my surprise, it sold very quickly. We paid $4.89 and it sold for $35 on Poshmark. And last item is a brand I highly recommend you look up in both men's and women's. It is Standard by James Purse, and they make basically like capsule wardrobe pieces, very minimalist, very like not very out loud kind of pieces. They're usually neutral colors, but this brand has a really good sell-through rate and they make some pretty high quality clothing. They sell very quickly for me. I won't say that they sell for a lot unless I've got like something with a nice material, but they usually sell for a solid $25 to $35. This is just a women's button-up top. We paid $4.89 for it and it sold for $29 on Poshmark.
Alright guys, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you're not already, don't forget to subscribe down below and hit that notification bell. If you do both of those things, you will be notified every time I make a what sold video. I hope the sales are going well for all of you guys watching, and I hope you find these videos helpful. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.